Kaplan. Welcome back to the podcast, man.
Thanks, Eric. I'm happy
So,
to be back.
so how you've been? I know the last time we spoke has ha, has got to be like months ago, right?
Yeah,
I
I think
think
it's been like 6 months or something like that.
I think it's a little bit more than that. I want to say like February. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
what you've been
possible.
up to? How's your work been? Like any new developments, breakthroughs that you've came across?
Yeah, I have had some work in the past. Since February, probably I worked on a few projects ranging from IoT. This time, my project has focused on artificial intelligence, especially LLM architectures,
Hmm.
specifically mixture of experts, if you ever heard about that.
I have not. What was that?
Mixture of experts, if you ever heard about that. It's kind of like
Mixture of experts.
yeah, a lot of
Huh.
major LLMs are actually using that. So it's kind of interesting. Like what do you call? We talked
Right.
mostly cybersecurity and things like that in the past, but yeah, since February, I would say I've been mostly doing IoT and LLM architecture. However, there has been a security component in most of my projects. Usually, security at
Uh-huh.
this point is just discussed by default in most projects and most papers, at least in my papers, I mostly talk about a security aspect on one side as well. And yeah, that's been my main focus, LLMs, and then we did IoT, kind of wearable devices for first responders and things like that.
Okay, so let's go back to the mixture of what was it?
Mixture of experts. So it's
Mixture of experts. Okay, so what is that?
mixture of as experts is essentially like the LLMs. Usually, you have just one giant large language model, right? That
Uh-huh.
answers your questions, and when it runs, it activates all of its parameters. So, for instance,
Mm.
GPT, I believe, was billions of parameters, most of its versions. And when you gave if it's a monolithic architecture, which is
Yeah.
not a mixture of experts, then it has to activate all of the parameters, all of the billions of parameters to answer a query, no matter how important or trivial it is. However, with mixture of experts, let's say
Mm-hmm.
you have a model that's 2 trillion parameters big, you can configure it in such a way that only a few billions, maybe 30 billion parameters gets activated, which in the LLM arena, at least with the models that we currently have, isn't a huge amount.
Right. So, okay, so now moving on from that and the IoT, the Internet of Things. What developments have you seen with AI? Because I know since the last time we spoke, AI seems like it's just advanced at a stupid rate.
That is very true. I have heard a lot of news about, like in the research area, where, especially in the medical field, where researchers feed their own or train their own LLMs on their own data sets, and an LLM is able to detect a lot of things that humans missed in the past. So that
Mm-hmm.
is one news that I've consistently heard again and again. That when you're trying your LLMs, it's just they notice things that a lot of humans have missed in the past. So there has been some synchronization with those niche fields
Mm-hmm.
since then, and I'm kind of happy with it. I think a few things at least they pulled up the diagnosis rates for certain diseases thanks to achievements like that.
And you also mentioned that you've been working on the security side of it, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so when it comes to the security of AI, what are the security risks that you see nowadays? Because I know just going from getting your, say, bank account hacked is also the spread of misinformation, which a lot of people are susceptible to.
Yes, besides the what do you call the spread of misinformation, there has
Hmm.
been a lot of like attack vectors in LLMs. For instance, now, like you can train, if you can manage to penetrate the training data sets
Right.
and replace all the coding sets with in a certain way that um, thinks that the backdoor in like having a backdoor is the normal, right? And you
Yeah.
train an LLM that way. Now, whenever you ask it to produce a code in that certain way, it is possible to insert a backdoor, like literally it will generate a code with a backdoor because it's been trained on that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one main thing, poisoning the data set of the LLMs. So those have to be very, very careful. And then you have attacks on availability as well.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, you can query the input in such a way that it just like overuses one expert, like a mixture of experts. Essentially, imagine like, we had ChatGPT 3.3, right? Like at the
Uh-huh.
time that was, I believe, 2022. That was kind of hype. And then imagine you have like 10 or 16 of those like models, and each of the models specializes in one area, such as
Mm-hmm.
contract law and one is medical, etc. And you basically can you can kind of target the gating network in such a way that it overuses one expert all the time, and that can kind of destroy the hardware utilization rates,
Mm-hmm.
because usually the optimal one is having it evenly distributed across the workload, evenly distributed across all experts. So yeah, there is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of with mixture of experts. In my opinion, the attack surfaces kind of increases. And the way like we never did a formal definition of how a mixture of experts work, I just basically presented some sites, but
Yeah.
essentially how this works is you have 16 different neural networks, right, like or models, and then all of them is connected to a gating network. Every time
Uh-huh.
you send the input to the gating network, a query or question, anything like that, the gating network decides where to forward the question, which expert to forward the question. If you're asking something about medical, there's a high chance that it's going to get routed to the medical expert, the expert that relates to the medical field. And then you can
Mm-hmm.
also have it's being distributed to more than one expert, 2, 3 experts. It's all based on your configurations. And then you basically get a response. Essentially, what this allows is conditional computation, right? It's basically the model is not using
Yeah.
all of itself to provide a response. It's essentially just using a portion of it. So now you can actually store more knowledge, but then process it for a fraction of the cost. So that's kind of like one of the big beauties of using mixture of experts.
Right. So, in other words, mixture of experts, it's basically AI agents, right? That are specifically designed to focus in one area. As you mentioned, so you have an agent that focuses just in everything medical, and then you have another agent that focuses on like in another field, and so on. So that's basically what it is, right?
When you say agent AI, I feel like that's the public knows that as a different domain, the agent AI as the type of AI that can kind of control your computer or control. Now they actually have some control, not just producing text or inputting text. So when you
Mm.
kind of use the word agent, I think the public can kind of think of that way. Uh,
So that's how I know of what you call a mixture of experts. I know what you're just explaining as being AI agents. So the term AI agents is wrong. That's what you're saying, or it's not
I
accurate.
wouldn't say it's wrong, but I would say like when I do the definition, when I ask for the definition of what an AI agent is, right, to Google in at least AI, right, it tells me it's an autonomous software system that uses artificial intelligence to perceive its environment, make decisions, and perform actions. One thing is for sure, the mixture of experts does not, or you can do that. You can configure agents like that as well. But at least a mixture of experts in LLMs don't, aren't autonomous software system that kind of perceive its environment and make decisions. It's basically just text input and output, the LLMs that use mixture of experts. However, I believe you could. I haven't done any work on it. I haven't read anything on it, but you could use mixture of experts for agent AI as well. Any type of AI that does agent stuff.
So when it comes to the social aspect to it, I know that you primarily look into the actual engineering behind AI and how it's built and the risks that AI could bring. But when you think about the actual real life consequences that AI brings, like people losing their jobs because of AI or misinformation being spread, say, on a political candidate saying something, or a video, an AI video showing them saying something that they never said, or any of that. What do you think could be really done about that? Because now it's getting to the point that I work with AI all the time. You work with AI all the time. So if we see, say, a video or some AI generated audio, we'll be able to tell if um, the media was generated with AI most of the time. Possibly not all the time because it's getting so damn good, but most of the time, right? But what can be done, or is there anything that could be done?
So you mentioned a few problems such as AI
Mm-hmm.
taking our jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
To answer that question, like AI definitely, I have a lot of friends who got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say the reason is just because of AI. AI definitely raised the bar for software engineers. Like
Mm-hmm.
we definitely now have to have more specialized knowledge, much more specialized knowledge, and have to justify actually our existence and why not an LLM can replace us, right? And it's actually there. We're
Mm-hmm.
actually very close to the productivity of LLMs, like, and for that, I would say AI still has some time to be able to, what do you call, reach the same level of same productivity as a software engineer, because I've used AI and like I've played around with AI in large projects.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, if your code base is less than 1,000 line of code, it is useful. It can write programs for you and things like that, and it can accurately handle your requests. However, if your code base is more than 1,000 lines, then its accuracy kind of goes down a lot. In fact, to the point where it just once in a while can give you some useful suggestions. That
Mm-hmm.
this what like I still use AI at least in my code base in Visual Studio Code and things like that, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the accuracy rate has gone down dramatically. So it's like you still need senior devs, but I would say the junior dev, now the question become like, do we actually need junior devs, right? Because LLMs
Right.
have reached that. When I was a junior, I was struggling a lot with the basic things, right, that I consider basic to this day. So that's like one big area. So I'm really concerned about what junior developers are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think there is an ecosystem for them as well. For instance, free projects like gaining experience while you're in college. I would recommend, if you're freshman, sophomore, if you know how to code, you could try going into open source projects and work there for free to
Mm-hmm.
get experience, so that you can actually graduate with 3 years worth of experience. There's a lot of memes about right after graduation they expect 5 years worth of experience, or when you're 20 they request 25 years of experience, and what are you supposed to do? So like there are some tweaks that you can do, or startups are also good ecosystems as well.
Mm-hmm.
In a startup, you're kind of working from, I believe you're working with smaller code bases, to my knowledge. Depends on the stage of the startup, but if it's new, right, they're gonna probably need more employees and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you could probably go to startups to gain the experience. However, AI has been getting well and well, and I still don't see how it's gonna face off
Right.
seniors. There might still be time, but that's probably, well, we never know what's gonna happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But to avoid taking the jobs as well, you could like think of, I've heard some stuff like automation tax. Whenever a company automates a certain process, now you tax them for it, which kind of, I don't know how efficient that sounds. Like an interesting idea. I don't know how well that would work. I have no idea how that goes. I just heard the concept in the past. But you could try around in like smaller countries like that. For instance, Albania just used AI to automate its minister, like, and just get rid of corruption. They're probably
Really?
yeah, Albania actually has, they had a very big problem with corruption in government contracting. So as a countermeasure, they are playing around with AI right now.
Hmm.
And that minister, I believe, is right now in effect. So I believe there's going to be a lot of research material produced from that, on the effects of AI on there. So if it works well,
Uh,
we could probably give it a try. Maybe you can try automation tasks in smaller areas and see how it works, if it's going to help human employees or things like that. But yeah,
yeah.
and the spreading of misinformation, that is like, it's just, you have to kind of be on top of your game, like
Right.
it's, you have to be educated on top of your, even I could once in a while like get fooled by it. For instance,
Hmm.
during the presidential election, I read the new, what do you call, a news on TikTok that said like, oh, Kamala Harris dropped. And I actually believed it for, I believe, like 8 hours, 9 hours. I was like, holy cow, like how is this possible? And I remember Googling it as well. And I remember even seeing it on Google, which I have no idea how that happened. And yeah, for eight
So,
hours,
or go ahead.
yeah, for 8 hours, yeah, I just believed that. And after 8 hours, my friend, what do you call, like, told me, and then I was like, oh, let me just Google it again, then and prove you wrong. And when I Googled it, all the news were gone. So I was like, what is going on?
No, that's funny because the last time that I remember actually believing something that I read online was about Hillary Clinton, and this was back in 2016, of her finally being charged for certain crimes. I mean, it was so long ago that I don't even remember what she was charged for, but that she was finally being charged for for certain crimes, and I thought that was real, and then I realized the whole article. This was before AI, but the article was just fake, um, and that was really like the first time that I encountered like a fake news article that passed as real, because we've always seen articles, from the Onion or just satire, right? And we could tell that it's satire. The Babylon Bee, we have the Onion, and we have a bunch of others. But we know that those articles are satire. Now, with this article that I read, I thought it was legit, but it wasn't. And this was before AI. But I realized pretty quick that it was fake because I Googled it. I read it and I Googled it because for some reason I always try to get other sources to confirm the information that I just read. And I couldn't find anything else, and I realized, wait, this thing was just fake. Now, most people, I would think that most people don't do that. They read an article and they just take it as fact. And I think that's where AI is a problem, because I've seen uh, AI images, AI audio, AI video. We went through deep fakes, but now even AI videos are getting so good that someone that does not deal with AI at all might believe that all of that is true. Now, that's like, what do we do with that? Like, how do we engineer something in society? Like, because I don't even think anything's possible to stop this.
I mean, at least like spreading of misinformation, right? Like preventing it is very hard. I believe there has been some research in the field about fact checking and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They have been like, just the way we're like looking up the internet, there's something called retrieval augmented generation that kind of gathers information from outer sources and inserts it into the context window. There has been some fact checking work on that area. I don't know how well it's going. Twitter even has, you can probably make it also community based as well. Whatever high impact
Mm-hmm.
news you're doing, you can kind of make it community based, and community members can vote it and then determine its accuracy. But I'm not sure about the viability of each of these solutions. But I feel we have a set of solutions. It's just I'm not sure which one works most efficiently and the best for spreading
Mm-hmm.
misinformation. But still, I don't think we can like fully get rid of misinformation. It's always going to be there. There has been a lot of cases where misinformation spread so hard that people actually got hurt, and
Yeah.
it is a dangerous problem. But I think the question is like how much can be mitigated, and I feel like we can mitigate a decent amount, just not fully weed it out.
Right. Okay. So, um, and in the current political climate, we see a lot of information being tossed around. And I see it all the time that you have one side believing a piece of information and another side believing another piece of information, even though the information might be coming from the same source. Now, when you like inject AI information, it will only give a rise to confirmation bias, because now not only are you getting information to confirm your bias that's actual, but now information is being made up to confirm your bias towards one political side. And I feel like that's just going to make matters even worse.
That is very true. People do have a tendency to accept things that they already believe with
Mhm.
confirmation bias. And if the information seems credible enough, you can just pass it by, because not everyone takes the time to do a quick Google search after they see something. So yes, like the AI definitely does pose a danger. Now generating context is easier than ever.
Mhm.
So like spreading is going to be easier, and if something just matches someone's confirmation bias and
Right.
is also kind of feasible, then it can easily pass. But on the other hand, yeah, like the effects can be devastating, cannot be devastating. It's
Mhm.
hard to determine that. How much damage we're incurring from these kind of news is hard to quantify.
Uh-huh.
Um, but there's also an army of researchers that is working to solve this problem as well. So I'm a little bit faithful also of our researcher workforce. They don't get paid that much, at least in the US. As someone who had some experience in academia, PhD students
Right.
don't have a reputation to get paid the most, or professors, but at least they still contribute a lot.
Yeah, because okay, so one thing that I want to address, that is basically the elephant in the room, and it's been like that for like 2 weeks now. So as you have heard, everyone's heard. So Charlie Kirk got murdered. Now, in an event like that, there's a lot of footage and a lot of like eyewitness accounts. We know that if you experience a traumatic event, your mind is going to try to fit in certain information that you didn't actually see. So you might say that you saw something that never really happened. Now, the way that I connect that to this is that the information that is being spread, now you have people being able to use tools to cause harm in the way of spreading information that is not real to fit a certain narrative. And I haven't seen much for this event, which was really tragic. But you have now two sides when in this event saying that the guy who shot Charlie Kirk acted alone, and then you have the other half, which I'm sure that it's even more than just 50% of people believing that this man was not a lone shooter. Now you have that theory, and under that theory, you have a lot more pieces of information to fit the narrative that he did not act alone. Now, when you use AI or any type of tool to spread some type of information that could be harmful, because now you're not dealing with spreading information to get someone in office. Now you're spreading information that may influence the investigation of law enforcement. I haven't seen that much. Law enforcement is doing their job. I have my own theory on that. The government is the last entity that you want to trust, because we've seen and we've witnessed the government also spreading misinformation or um, trying to hide certain information from the public, and we know that that's true. Uh, and they do that for, they may say, for security purposes, uh, or whatever their their reason is, but also to win political points. And you have two sides, and when power enters the conversation, it corrupts the individual. And now I feel like AI could be used for harm in that sense. And so luckily, at least I haven't seen much AI generated information or media, because think that AI is not even that good right now to uh, fake uh, videos or photos of things that did not actually happen, because we would be able to tell. But it is going to get to the point that we're not even going to know if what we're seeing is real or not.
So about the information influencing the police, law enforcement's investigation, that is quite possible. You could, what do you call, a certain piece of information or thing that is thought as maybe a camera footage or something like that can be AI generated, that a naked human eye can't notice. It's AI generated, right? And the police
Mm-hmm.
might, what do you call, the police might be busy with it for a while, possibly delaying the investigation. Those kind of things can easily be caught, but someone getting convicted based on that kind of piece of evidence, I get the feeling that most competent lawyers, even if it's not against, even if the human eye can't detect AI generated content, can, what do you call, send it for a testing to, what do you call, like there are testing tools available to see if a certain piece of video is AI generated or not.
Right.
However, of course, unfortunately, now it's getting more dependent on the competency of the lawyer,
Mm.
right? For instance, if it's a public defenders are known to be inundated with work to the point where they just don't have much time, and they may just neglect challenging these kind of pieces of evidence. So it's like there has been a lot of stories, at least in the US, that the legal system also
Mm-hmm.
depends on how much money you have. Like, are you going to be able to hire a competent lawyer or a non-competent lawyer? Certain like piece of evidence can,
Mm-hmm.
what do you call? But on the other hand, I haven't seen a lot of like, I think the AI generating a piece of content that's not detectable on the naked eye.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like perfect a 5-second video. I've seen that very rare. Usually, like I'm at least I kind of find myself good at detecting AI content based on my
Mm-hmm.
environment. People are also good at finding AI content. But on the other hand, you can do audio content as well, one level
Right.
lower. It's like you never know. Now it's like audio content can be like it's the naked eye can't detect the audio content all the time. It's a little bit more challenging, in my opinion. So these kind of things actually can, what do you call, delay the law enforcement. But I
Mm-hmm.
believe this problem exists, but I don't think it's at a crisis level, like which, by the
Uh-huh.
way, it can turn into a crisis level anytime. Like we in our country, we have certain crises, right? Like gun violence is
Mm-hmm.
very widespread that we almost take it like weather's news, unfortunately, right? In the US. So that, like, for instance, is a crisis, and legislation is also focusing on that as well. If this problem comes up, which I hope it doesn't, legislation will probably focus on fixing this as well. Hopefully, it will be effective. But yeah, it is a very possible
Uh-huh.
problem. that can be in the future, but I don't think right now it's at a crisis level, right?
No, yeah, I agree with you, but it's not to say that it could get there though.
Yeah, it could get there anytime. We're literally depending on the public's good faith on not doing that. Like
Yeah.
that is literally it. Like if everyone does that, we'll have a crisis in our
Hmm.
hands.
So, okay, so when you upload an image, say to Facebook or Instagram, Meta, they strip that image from all of its metadata, right?
Yeah, I believe it's called EXIF data, and a certain personality, a CEO of a, what do you call a CEO of an antivirus company got caught because of that. I think the guy was in hiding in abroad, and then he uploaded a picture up there. I think the EXIF data, it's called,
Uh-huh.
was not stripped out, so the law enforcement was able to find it and find him. I think his crime was tax fraud or something like that.
Oh wow. So did Meta stripping the metadata from images happen after that, or was that just an error in the process?
Don't think it's after that or before that. However, I do remember that that news was very major about what pictures you upload into the
Uh-huh.
internet. So I feel like a public might push Facebook for that, to
Mm.
because there's a lot of privacy enthusiast people out there, and
Yeah.
they may have like pushed this.
So, do you think that it's their social responsibility to include metadata that could detect whether an image was generated by AI or was actually captured with your phone camera or whatever?
Is it their social or ethical duty? Is your
Yeah.
question? Well, if you get into ethics, usually like ethics kind of overlap a lot with their business interests, right?
Hmm.
In their ethics, like
Right.
unfortunately, in real ethics, in pure ethics, in a world where everything worked ideally, um, I feel I'm not sure. That's a very deep question, probably. Like
Yeah.
that's probably a research question at that point. So in a pure world, I can't answer that. But in reality, I get the feeling that if the public ever wants that, like if enough people wants that future and
Hmm.
pushes Facebook for it, Facebook will implement it.
Yeah.
Legislation wants it, but I don't think Facebook will ever do it if there's no push or
Hmm.
force towards it.
Which I think there might be a push towards that once it starts getting into the area of danger and it being dangerous and the information being dangerous. And we saw that during the 2016 election and all the interference that was going on and all these farm bots or bot farms or whatever. um, and there was pushback that changed Facebook into doing things differently. So we know that there could be pushback, but the thing is, like personally, I think that there's a responsibility there to at least include if the photo was captured through through your camera or if it was generated by AI. It could strip everything else. It could strip location. It could strip the date, time that the photo was taken, what type of phone you have, and all of that. It could strip all of that. No one really cares about all of that. At least no one should know any of that information. But what they should know is if an image was taken with your actual phone or any camera that you used, or if it was generated with an AI tool somewhere.
I mean, that makes sense. I think the question eventually comes down to is Facebook responsible for people's users' safety, right? Things like that. And I
Oh,
get
they're for
that
sure
feeling.
responsible.
Yeah, the answer becomes like yes there. And then another question comes up that, for instance, like do detecting AI generated content contribute to
Mhm.
safety? So it's like I guess the answer will be it's dependent on the image. If you're, for instance, there's a lot of AI tools there that will take my picture that I took in my recreational activity doing maybe my hobby on something, and it will convert it into a professional headshot. For instance,
Mm-hmm.
do you need to what do you call, declare that as an AI generated? Some people may not want that declared, but if it's like, just like you said, for the purpose of, if it's a news agency, then I guess AI generated content should be detected, right? Because news agency.
I mean, but there's a thing that if I want to post something and I don't want people to know that it was AI generated, that becomes the issue, because now you're trying to post something to your social media and make it appear as if it's real, when you know that that piece of information is AI.
Oh yeah,
No
sure,
matter
you're
if
right.
it's your headshot or whatever, the simple fact of doing that and trying to pass it as being organic rather than AI is the problem. And that's
No, you're right. You're right.
right.
You're 100% right on that. Yeah, I see the point. Yeah, I guess like that kind of makes sense. If it's AI generated, you're also kind of taking false credits of that, right? Of work there, because taking that headshot. So I guess the question becomes like, hey, are you taking false credit or not? So I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And I think that's something that we're going to be seeing in the future. And we know the government, they work so slow. So by the time that starts happening, it's going to take the government probably like a couple years to really pass any sort of regulation to minimize its effect. And by the time they do that, the damage will be done.
Yeah, although the government is slow, I feel like some other governments may have a reputation for being faster, and we can kind of start seeing it implemented in countries abroad, right? In some European countries, things like that. And then we can at least have more data to decide on whether those methods are effective or not, right? But yeah, the government unfortunately is slow. I'd rather see it come to fruition very close,
So, and then to talk from that, like, where do you see AI going in the future, or do you see any other evolving technologies that we might be seeing?
So I've been doing some architecture work for AI, some neural network architecture and stuff like that. There has been some interesting architecture changes, recommendations, like mixture of expert is one of them, that can keep boosting the capacity and intelligence of certain, what do you call, benchmarks, right? There's Mamba, there's mixture of, what was the recursion, and then there's even something called, what was the name, hierarchical reasoning models. Hierarchical reasoning something, but yeah, like each of these architectures promise very, very different things, and they excel at certain areas. And I just see it going kind of better and better. It's like as long as these papers are being published, these architectures are published as papers, and it's available for anyone to see it. So anyone is free to implement these, startups, big companies, and they're willing to. They can experiment with it, and if they ever get better performance, they can publish it, and now we have better AI. So I think it's just going to get better and better. People argue a lot that it's going to hit a roof, but and it can, right? You never know. The future is impossible to know, but right now, based on the progress of academic and industry research, it's just getting better.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm excited to see where AI goes because it's only been since 2022, right? When ChatGPT launched.
Yeah, it's been just 3 years, like 3 years and sorry, not even 3 years. I think it got published in November.
It was November.
Yeah, it was November, and it's not even 3 years, and
that is crazy. Like AI has changed the world.
It has definitely. At least I know for sure stock market is doing much better after it, right?
Yeah. I mean, Nvidia is killing it, and now you have all these other companies doing agreements. I know SoftBank, Oracle. You have all of these companies investing heavily into AI, but is that also going to just cause an AI bubble, and you're going to have all these AI companies just crash? Do you think that's possible?
I've been also, so I have investments as well, right? I've been looking into the health of my investments, such as the PE ratio of the stocks I hold, and
Mm-hmm.
I mostly hold ETFs, but what do you call? I look at the PE ratio,
Mm-hmm.
PEG, lots of different like things. Right now, they seem to be slightly overvalued, like S&P 500 at least. I think the normal PE ratio that was considered was 20. And you usually in the stock market don't want to use just one metric. Usually there's several metrics.
Uh-huh.
Right now, I think the last time I checked, it was like 28 S&P 500 PE ratio. So it's,
That checks out.
yeah, actually it's 30 right now with a trailing.
Oh wow.
But on the other hand, I feel like this is also accompanied by high growth projections for the future, and
Mm-hmm.
with that kind of analysis, you might be able to justify a slightly higher PE ratio. It's technically 50% higher. It's a lot higher. But I think when I look at the 2000 and the 2008 PE ratio, I think there's still some time until we get into a
Hmm.
bubble territory, a danger territory. It
Yeah.
was, I think the 2001, the S&P 500 was it 45? I don't want to don't quote me on that.
For what?
S&P 500 PE ratio during
E-
2000 and 2008, right? Because those are the biggest two crises.
um.
Because I believe those were like around 45. Oh, there it is. Just got my over the time. So I'm checking multiple.com. Apparently in December 2001 was when the peak was with with the PE ratio. It was
Mm-hmm.
46. So it was actually around 32, 34, things like that. At one point, it got up all the way to 46.
Yeah.
Yeah, we seem to be close, mildly close to the 2000 years. But on the other hand, it's always been
Mm-hmm.
like up and down, up and down. I see like lots of cycles. I could
Yeah. And
share my.
I mean, when it comes to the stock market, it's all cycles. It's a certain behavior that we always see, and for some reason, people don't catch that it is just a cycle, and they think that the stock market is just going to go up and up and up, and there's not going to be a crash, which that's just not the way to look at it. Um, and that also influences behavior, and that also influences operations in these companies. So it goes down to like, is the investment in all of these AI companies just overvalued more than they're worth? It's like buying MySpace right now and thinking that MySpace is worth so much money when it's not. And the point that I'm trying to make is, do you think that we have gone past the point of high valued AI companies, or we haven't reached that point yet?
I think we're getting close to it.
Hmm.
I'm not sure how close. I'm not sure if there will even be a crash, right? No one
Mm-hmm.
knows the future. But I think we're kind of getting close to the danger zone.
You're right. Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, listen, man. It's been a great conversation, and I hope to speak with you again. And but
Same. I appreciate you having me.
yeah, it just seems that every time we speak, there's always an advancement that just has gone so fast that we are not even able to cover the change. But I mean, we'll see the changes that do happen by the next time we do talk.
Yeah, honestly, I think for the last 1 month, every day I've been seeing like a tech advancement on my social media. Oh, this breakthrough happened, this breakthrough
Every
happened.
single day, right?
At this point, it wasn't this frequent back at the time. I don't know if it's just my algorithm changed or something like that, but I remember a year ago it was nowhere like that. It was probably once every 4 days, 5 days. It was still a lot, but nowhere near as this.
Yeah, I think it's because everyone is using AI now. Like literally everyone. Not literally, but you get the point. It's a
Yeah,
lot of people like
it has
that.
significantly like increased what do you call the productivity. When back
Yeah.
in when I was a UI UC, I know a task that I spent months for can actually be solved in right now, like probably 3 or 4 days,
It's
thanks to
it's it's almost like if you have an iPhone, you're certainly using AI. It's like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's been great, man, and I wish you the best of luck, and we'll see what happens next time we do talk.
Sounds good. Likewise, man. Thanks a lot for having me again.
All
Take care.
right.